Hello.
Oh, there's a dog. Hey there.
Oh, she's a frog.
She is, totally.
100% frog.
Oh, dude.
It's,
Cutie.
She's getting
it
big.
looks like a mogwai almost. She's got the ears.
You're crazy.
Bro,
Gizmo.
adorable.
Fucking gizmo. All right, Basil. No bother.
Cutie.
It's pronounced Basil. Thank you very much.
Guest appearance.
What does it mean, Basil? All right. Do we still want to talk about 2023 music?
Yeah.
I'm done. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I went through and listed a bunch.
Much to talk about.
I know. I went through a list today. All right. Well, Happy New Year, ladies and gents. It's Whatchu Spinnin, episode 62, coming at you live from our respective dwellings. I'm your host, Dorian, as always, joined by Matt and Jake. How we doing, fellas?
Man, we're doing good. Holidays are
Okay.
over. New Year's about to begin. 2024, more good music to come out, I'm sure. And then this last year, this 2023, all the music that came out, man, it's ridiculous. So much
For
good
sure.
stuff.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. And we'll get into some of that stuff that came out in 2023 here in a second. But Matt and I were kind of talking earlier. Did anybody happen to get some new stuff on vinyl over the holiday break? Anybody got anything
Yeah.
to report?
I do. I have a couple.
Yeah. What you got, Jake?
Well, I ordered it. I sent you guys the link. The Arm and Hammer Shrines.
Mm-hmm.
That came in.
Mhm.
Nice.
I spun that like a week ago. It was pretty sweet. A grail that I've been wanting, so I'm glad they did a repress. I got Scaring the Hose like 2 weeks
Nice.
ago.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Love that. Probably one of my favorites. And my girlfriend got me the Beast Coast album,
Nice.
Escape from New York. So that was nice. So yeah, a couple pickups. Some that I've been looking for.
Nice. My newest additions are right behind me. I got Goody Mob and then the wall. My mom picked up the wall for me earlier this week as a belated Christmas present, which was cool.
Nice.
She's like, I didn't know which one to get. I'm like, well, that's the perfect choice. And then the Goody Mob record store day was at Epic Seconds today. Had a feeling it might be there, and it was still there, so I snagged it. And then I got Aesop in the back there. It's, man, just the album cover alone is amazing. And the first track has a Billy Woods feature, so, I mean,
Hell yeah.
we love Billy, so.
Mm-hmm. And that's Aesop's that came out this year, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hell yeah.
So much good stuff, yeah. All of us.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. And
about
I traveled to the Salt Lake City area over the holiday and visited some pretty cool record shops there. One opened like literally 5 days before we got there, I think, called Fountain Records. It doubles as like an espresso bar. It's like in Salt Lake City. It's fucking rad. The dude's wife is like super into deep house, and so this label like on Juna that, you know, like Ben Bomber and like all these people are on, she just like gets these records from overseas and then he puts them in his shop. And so at that shop we got a Ben Bomber record, and I got Let's Dance by David Bowie, an original 1983 pressing, for $15.
What kind of condition is it in?
It's great. It's fantastic condition.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So that was sick. Shout out Fountain Records. And then we went to Randy's Records, also in Salt Lake, which has been in business since like 1972. And I got Europe 72 by the Grateful Dead, their live album. Monster by Future, Jacob, finally got pressed. So I got Monster by Future.
Wow.
And then we got a Tyler Childers album, country type shit. So shout out to them. Both places were fucking sick. It was a great time.
How do the prices compare to Eugene? It's the same.
Yeah, there were some of them I was like, that makes sense, you know. In comparison, like there was also across the street from Randy's Records, there was a place called the Heavy Metal Shop, and it was just like Iron Maiden and Slayer t-shirts, and then like metal records. And so
cool.
But yeah, I'd say across the board it was like just slightly more expensive than like in Eugene, but Eugene is such a variable anyway. So, but yeah, it was pretty decent price. Let's Dance for $15. That was like the best one, and then the Grateful Dead. That was like the cheapest I'd seen it, even on Discogs. So, I don't know. I came out. I like pretty decent.
I like doing that when you're like traveling or going to a different city and just checking out, you know, if they have rare stuff, or, you know, just scoping out the area, seeing what they have. So that's cool.
For sure. Hell yeah. Well, shall we? Let's talk some stuff that came out in 2023.
Yes.
Yeah. Who wants to start first? Jake, I feel like you kind of know.
A whole lot.
You're the one who wanted to talk this. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of music that came out this year, every year, but this one especially, I feel like we were kind of spoiled with everything that we got. Like we got, you know, all types of genres. We got a lot of hip hop. We got a new Arm & Hammer album, Billy Woods album, a lot of hip hop, a lot of like really good R&B too. Jordan Ward with his album Forward, I really like that album. New Travis, like just a bunch, man, a lot, a lot of
new SZA as well, wasn't it?
New SZA too, yeah.
No, I think outside of, you know, hip hop, even like the Arm & Hammer album was insane. You know, that was kind of almost unexpected. Billy Woods and Kenny Siegel coming back together, that was insane as well. You know, that was, I mean, we've talked about both of those albums ad nauseum at this point. But if you look outside of like hip hop for a second, I mean, we're going to be talking about one in particular here in a little bit once we get into the content. But if we look at, what do I got here? Rez came out with an album, It's Not a Phase, which is her doing some kind of more emo, like goth inspired stuff, which was really cool. That album was really, really good. I particularly liked it. We had Anima, who is one part of, I think it's called A Tale of Us, which is like a techno duo. He came out with like a dark techno album called Genesis, which is nuts. I want to talk about it on here. Shout out Facebook. Random scrolling on Facebook showed me a song off of that. That was pretty sick. And then some other metal stuff too, that I'll kind of pop in here in a second.
Yeah. I also like the Jungle album that they released this year, Volcano. Super good, man. Like so many good songs on that. I mean, Eric R. Elliott, he's on it. Channel Trust is on it. That one also was one of my favorites. I feel like a lot of stuff was sneaked in also towards the end of the year, like with that Blockhead album. Also, Mick Jenkins, he had an EP that he dropped this year. What was it called? The Patience. So yeah, a lot of it kind of snuck up on me. Like I didn't expect some of these artists to drop music, which, I mean, it's always great when we get new stuff from.
And some albums completely just went unnoticed, I felt like, for some reason or another, or you know, didn't last long. You know, Michael by Killer Mike, I personally really liked that. I was surprised that it didn't get more recognition. It was the first time I'd listened to a Killer Mike solo project in a while, and I was very, very pleased with that. You know, also love Run the Jewels. In Flames came out with an album, Foregone. It's like their 18th studio album or some shit like that. Like they've definitely eclipsed 15, and they've still got it. The album, it's definitely not like A Sense of Purpose, which I actually do have up there right now. It's definitely not that, but they still kind of keep their formula and stuff. I mean, like I said, I've found something to like about all of their albums. So that was cool. Periphery, which is constantly kind of like, they kind of float within like the gent subgenre, like Animals as Leaders type shit. They came out with a very tongue-in-cheek album title, Gent is Not a Genre, which is pretty hilarious because that's constantly, that album was kind of controversial in that scene this year. It was very funny to watch, but it's good stuff too. I kind of went and tried to write down like the non-hip-hop albums that came out. So
yeah. Didn't also that not The Seeking. Well, I think that's a song on the album, but
Sleep Token.
Yeah, Sleep Token. Didn't
that was like 2 weeks. Yeah, that was 2 weeks after Maps, I think.
Yeah. Sleep Token. One also, Ketramine, I know, the Ketranada and Amine album. I had a lot of hype for that one, and then it came out, and it was like, I had mixed reviews about it, but it's been a good solid favorite also.
Oh yeah. I feel like that's kind of a niche collab, Ketranada and Amine. Like that's very that's very specific type of audience you're trying to hit there. Hell yeah. Anybody have like a top 3 albums that came out this year? Did anybody go that far with it?
I think so. Yeah, I haven't really shared my thoughts for 2023 yet.
Go ahead.
Token. Take me back.
Share your thoughts.
Jesus Christ.
Share your thoughts.
That's a great album. I mean, come on. Sleep Token kind of takes all the genres and puts them together. So I think it was a great release for music in general. I think it kind of put it back on the map, like that genre specifically, that it can be basically anything at this point and combine all those elements into one. Behind Me with the Aesop Rock album, unique in itself, very extraterrestrial in a sense. It's my best description of it. Fever Ray had a new album out called Radical Romantics. Great album. Was never a fan of that band until this weekend, and I'm just like diving right down into it. Very techno, housey, different, almost spooky, but it's cool stuff.
Hell yeah! Now you're like championing them.
Yeah, for sure. The Acacia Strain with Step Into the Light. That shit's heavy, but it's so good, so good.
I remember. I forgot about that. That Acacia Strain album.
A little heavy, a little dark, but I felt like it's a very good release, whether you're working out or just like needing to get that energy out somehow. It's a good song or a good album to put on in general. Those are my picks, yeah.
Hell yeah.
And then of course Billy Woods and Arm & Hammer, those 2 albums that came out. I mean, we've talked about them so much, but if you haven't listened to them, go out there and play them and repeat them and listen to them because they are worth listening to. So.
Yeah.
I
was gonna say, Matt was like an archaeologist of music. Like you discovered so much music this year, I feel like, because you got to dive into the whole Billy Woods and Arm & Hammer thing, which was like really cool that like Jake and I were like, oh yeah, like here, try this, and you're like like fell down the
ran with it.
Ever since I joined the podcast, you guys have helped open that door a little bit more. That had been closed for me for a while because as far as new music, I wasn't really seeking it. But joining the podcast, having you guys show me other things, it's just opened my mind to everything, and I love that.
Hell yeah.
So thank you. Thank you.
Of course, man. No, and thank you for showing us some crazy shit too. Which let's hold on. Let's see. No, Jacob, what do you got?
It definitely goes both ways, Matt. Like, I appreciate, showing you guys, but also getting, just crazy stuff that I haven't heard of or something that I have, but not the full thing. Like, so yeah, this year definitely expanded way more my music taste. And a lot of new music. If I were to go like some of my favorites this year, for sure, I'm going that Jordan Ward album. I really like that album. It's a great like R&B, so definitely go check it out. Also, I'd want to say the Billy Woods, we've said it plenty of times, amazing. Check it out. Probably one of my favorite hip hop albums of the year. And then Scaring the Hose, dude. Like JPEG Mafia, Danny Brown, fantastic, super good, super experimental. I like how they like don't conform to hip hop. They make it unique. Like that's kind of the point of that album, is to be different, and it is. It doesn't fit the norm of regular hip hop. So definitely check that out too. But yeah, another great year for music, for sure.
Absolutely, man. Shit, I almost want to copy like most of Jacob's, because it's hard, because so much, a lot of good stuff came out. In no particular order, I'm gonna go Genesis by Anima, that like kind of darker techno album that was like a late discovery for me back in end of September, I want to say, or something. Found that album, it's fantastic. Then I'm gonna go Maps as well, and then oh boy. Oh man. I'm gonna go Scaring the Hose as well, actually. I'll go Scaring the Hose and Maps, and then Genesis by Anima. No particular order. But yeah, that was as much as like, Sleep Token and Maps coming out when they did for me was massive. So shout out to Sleep Token, obviously. I listened to The Summoning 140 whatever times it was last year. So shout out to them. But like, I was shocked that no songs off of Scaring the Hose popped into my top 5 as well, because I was just rotating those 3 albums for so long. So, but yeah, those would be my top 3 as well. And any closing thoughts about 2023 for music wise?
Just excited to see what next year has.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And 2023 was cool for us. I mean, last year we were prepping to go see Floater. This time last year we were prepping to go see Floater do Animals and Alter, which was fucking sick. And then, I mean, we went, Matt, you and I saw Tool. The 3 of us went and saw Arm and Hammer. We got to see a lot of cool shit happen for us, like as homies within the podcast. So shout out. Podcast did. I mean, this was like the best year for the podcast. We've only been doing it like 2 years, but shout out to everybody that listens and that has, kind of helped spread the word. We appreciate everybody. Shout out you 2 boys. Thank you for still doing this with me. With that being said, let's go ahead and move on in to the episode. Travel back in time a little bit. It's Whatchu Spinnin, episode 62. Shall we, gents?
Yes.
For sure. All right. Okay. It's time to get on into today's content for episode 62 of Whatchu Spinnin. And to kick us off today, we've got Jake's pick, what I'm pretty excited to talk about, if I got to be honest with you. So what you got, big man?
Yeah, so 2018 Interpol's Marauder. 2018, some like rock, but like, I don't know, indie rock, I'd say. But yeah, one of my favorites of theirs. I really like their music. This one's more recent. It's like their 6th or 7th album, I think. Yeah, a lot to talk about this one. I've had a lot to listen of them and of their catalog, but yeah, I'm sure you guys are familiar with Interpol. What are your guys' thoughts?
I was a little bit, like, not like huge. I knew of them because I was a Strokes fan, and that's kind of the New York scene, early 2000s rock scene. This is a great band. This album is fucking phenomenal. The first track had me hooked in right away. It had kind of like a Smiths vibe, but a little bit more rock oriented as far as the lyricism and stuff like that. I love his voice. He's got a great vocal. And I kept going back to the beginning of the album and kind of listening it from the beginning to the end, and trying to find different spots in there to like narrow down my top 3. But man, this whole album is so good. It's very unique. It capulates that New York sound to a T. And I loved it. So thanks for bringing this up. Like I said, I never listened to Interpol before, so very good pick.
I back up everything he just said, but I'm not gonna just steal the homework and change one of the answers so I don't get caught cheating. No, I'm kind of in the same boat though. I had heard of Interpol, but wasn't insanely familiar with them. I think if anything, I had heard most of what is it? Turn on the bright lights. That song, Obstacle One, was on some video game. I think I don't know. I'm familiar. I went because when you brought up Interpol, I was like, there's at least one song I know by them for some reason or another because the name was familiar. And so I believe it was that. But I had definitely not listened to like a full album of theirs and definitely not this one. And they just have a timeless sound. Like you listen to this and I was like, oh, for sure. Like this is exactly that kind of British sounding, but not, kind of Brit indie kind of sound to it. Very Smiths, like Strokes kind of sound, as you said. But no, I loved it. It's funny that like one of the detractor reviews for this album that's in the Wikipedia article was like they're frozen in time sound. I'm like, no, that's actually cool. I'm like, you're missing the point. That's the point. Is it's fucking cool, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's they. I mean, they've been around for a while. Like, I feel like they're probably regarded as one of their best is their first one, their debut, Turn on the Bright Lights. Which is hard if you have such a like strong debut to keep that same ride and like people still listening. And with over the years, like with Antics, with our Love to Admire, all their other albums, all really good for their own right. But this one really captured me more because like I was in the same boat. I'd listened to Interpol through the Strokes, through the Smiths, all that. But then I heard one song off of this, and then I was like, "Oh, this is good. Let me see the rest of the album." And then you have songs like "The Rover," "Number 10," "Party's Over." Like, it just captures you. So, I was like, I know you guys like rock. This one's kind of a little bit more in that field, but it's not super hardcore. It's accessible. But yeah.
I thought the album was recorded really, really well altogether. It was more of a raw sound. I know they used a different recording technique to where they had to kind of nail every take instead of having the producer fix it later, which is cool and says a lot for the musicians being able to do that in the studio. Because a lot of the times that's not the case. You just have the producer, like I said, fixing the mistake or changing the timing or doing whatever he does to make the album what it is. And for a band to go into the studio and just do their craft, do it solid, and leave. That says a lot for this album, and you can hear it, I think.
Yeah.
Well, and it's even crazier that that's what they did in 2018, right? Like that's what it's like they thought to do that fucking 5-6 years ago, which is bananas. It's really crazy to think about, and they did pull it off, flawlessly. And I really did like, the way that they recorded it, how there's almost not. Like there's almost an effect on every vocal track on every song. Like you hardly are ever just getting like a clean vocal track. There's always like some like distortion or, the Mike Patton megaphone, kind of. Yeah, that kind of. There's always some type of effect on the vocal on this, which I really appreciated. I love a good. I love that, Tool, Maynard does that quite a bit in the early days. And so that's right up my alley. And then, as Jake, you nailed it. If you're like Dorian Will, like, yeah, this shit rules. It's right up there because it is that early 2000s like indie, like to compare it to anything else, it'd be like super early Arctic Monkeys, but it is that early 2000s just indie sound that I love. So hell yeah, it's crazy that it came out in 2018.
Yeah, it very much does sound like in a way like that they are doing kind of similar because the songs have similar structure, but they are different. And I think it spreads them out well, the album with the interludes, because it kind of breaks off. Like you have songs like Mountain Child that's a little bit more tame. Same thing with Complications. It's not as upbeat and crazy as like The Rover or Party's Over. So and then going back to what Matt said, the recording process, like they use the 2 tape recorder. So like that, or 2-track, right? Yeah,
2-inch tape.
2-inch tape. Yeah,
Whatever that is. Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at it. It's like a little machine thing that like you just press play and then you you essentially have to do it all in one take. But they were doing that just for the same reason, because there will be mistakes, and it has that feeling of like a live band, like you're hearing it live in person, because it's not perfect. They don't fix it in post production, like they just have it raw like that in its form. So that's interesting too that they did that so recently, because that's an older thing. Like older albums have that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, great guitar work vocally, and percussion's great too. But the guitar work had like a spacey, very tremolo, space echo vibe. And I like the percussion, a lot of hi-hat and I don't know, repetitive beats. It was nice.
Oh, very. That's like, I think that's what makes it kind of all come together, is the drum, is like the percussion on it, because it is just like the classic, simple kind of, a lot of hi-hat, cymbal works awesome on it. I think that is kind of what brings it all together, because I was kind of feeling the same thing. I was like, for some reason, this just rules. Like the drums on this just kick ass.
Yeah, I thought they were. Yeah, it stood out the most after hearing it a few times. I was like, wow, the drums are just always there. It's leading like it always does, but like it's leading like it more than it usually does, I felt.
Yeah. I'm glad that someone else thought the same thing, because I was like, is it just me, or is this like just good? It's like just flashy enough, and it's just, but it's keeping everything locked in. Shit, I was gonna say, speaking of like the vocals and everything on Stay in Touch, like kind of toward the beginning of that song, it kind of reminded me like of, it's funny that Matt and I both have this album hanging up, but like the last half of The Wall, like there was kind of some remnants of that in Stay in Touch, like at the beginning, how like the voice starts getting like oddly dramatic at times in the beginning of it. I was like, this is kind of like The Trial or some shit. I don't know why I randomly made that connection this morning. But no, the vocal, like the all throughout, I was very impressed with this. I was like, damn, I was like, I got to go listen to, because if a band has been around for that long in this genre, sometimes things dip. But I'm like, the fact that this is that badass, I got to check out everything else at this point. So
yeah,
shout out. I was very impressed with this album.
Hell yeah. No, glad you guys like it. I own Our Love to Admire.
Okay.
That album, I want to bring that one up to eventually at some point. But yeah, if you just look at their catalog, just how big it is, how extensive, and like they've been doing it for a while. They have switched out some members here and there, but for the most part, their core, they have the formula down. So definitely, if you like them, just check out some of their other stuff, and I think you'll like it.
Hell yeah, I definitely plan on it.
Do we want to do
yeah,
top 3 it up? I'll start. So my honorable mention is Complications. I really found myself listening to that more this time around when I was listening to the album. Top 3, I'm gonna go The Rover. That's where you hear it, the drums. Just listen to that song. The drums, like you hear it, you're like, the drums are badass. So number 3, The Rover. Number 2, number 10, and then number 1, Party's Over. That's always been my favorite off the album.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. If I had to pick, my honorable mentions are going to be Surveillance, and then the opening track, If You Really Love Nothing. Really dug that one. And then 3, 2, 1, Flight of Fancy. That's just that classic 2000s 80 sound, or indie sound. Number 2, Stay in Touch, and then number 1 was number 10. Really dug that track.
Nice.
Number 10 was good. Yeah. Honorable mention was The Rover. Kind of caught you being track 2, I believe, and it just kind of reeled you in. Then 3, 2, 1, Stay in Touch, Surveillance, and then my top track was Complications. That's a great track. I think it separated the mood a little bit from that entire album, that track specifically. So good pick, Jake.
Hell yeah. I do agree. Thanks for bringing this up. Love visiting this kind of music. But anyway, that was Marauder by Interpol, released in 2018, which was Jake's pick for this week. We'll be right back to move on to Matt's pick from 2023. Happy New Year's Eve. It's Whatchu Spinnin. Okay. We're back on the New Year's Eve edition of Whatchu Spinnin. There's nothing special going on. It's just episode 62. I'm Dorian, joined by Jake, who just finished talking about his great album, Interpol's Marauder from 2018. We had a great time talking about it, but forget about it. It's time to move on. We're going with Matt's now. What you got?
Mine was kind of a spur of the moment pick, just because I felt like I had to share it with you guys. 2023, Jaimie Branch, Fly or Die World War. It's like a part 3 and a kind of a 3-album compilation. This was produced after she passed away. Unfortunately, she didn't live very long, but that's another story for another time. The music she created is very unique. She's got a jazz trumpet background, went to school for it, played with some amazing people in her lifetime, and kind of created her own sound. It's jazz, it's punk, she's singing a little bit. It's all over the place a little bit, but I thought that her unique style was very very fitting for our podcast, because we like to talk about music of all sorts of type, whether it's from another country or deep hidden in here in the US. So I don't know much about her. I dove down a little bit more this week and the last couple weeks, but what do you guys think upon hearing it?
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Jake. You go.
Okay. Yeah, I same. I didn't know anything about this when you brought this up. Looking into it more, I appreciate it a lot more. Just because she did recently pass, R.I.P. But amazing, dude, fantastic. I think it shows not only her as an artist, but she also had a band that she was directing, and this could have shown where she could have gone, musically, but it also leaves a footprint for what she was doing. And it's great, fantastic. All her other stuff too, I want to get into more of her stuff, like all her past albums. But with this, yeah, it's unique. It's for jazz, because it's in a way it's a lot of things, but I feel like in its core it's a jazz album. And her trumpet skills, man, ridiculous.
Right.
I saw a video that it had 3,000 views in the last 2 years, barely anything, but just amazing, dude. You see her in person in the video, and she's just making that thing just swabble and sing, insane, the talent that she had. And great pickup, dude. I like things like that when you just walk into a store and then something just catches your attention instantly. And I would have done the same. So
yeah.
The first note I made on this was, because I kind of showed you or told you guys how I take notes, is I'll write the song title and then just take notes on that. The first one I did was Borealis Dancing, and then underneath that I just said, this is insane. I was like, this is just bananas, because it just opens up with the synth that are coming out. I'm like, at first I'm like, all right, all right, Plantation Junior, let's fucking go. And then because all that I remember you saying was it was jazz, because I think that's all that you had said. You're this kind of jazzy stuff that's just badass. I was like, right on, let's go. And then I hear that and I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, I'm still down. Let's go. And then just the synths come in, and then the double bass starts kicking in, and I'm like, oh, fuck yes, dude. I'm glad that we kind of breeze past it, so that way we can kind of talk about it more. This was an automatic, like, I was like, damn, I wish I would have heard this months ago, because this would have been, it's like already like top 10 albums for me that came out this year. Because just the creativity behind it, and it is a jazz album, as we're kind of all going to unanimously agree, as it's as close to jazz as you're going to get. But there's like elements of folk punk in here if you really think about it. If you really fucking think about it, dude, this is like leans toward.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
because there really, are
like Mountain,
yep,
the Mountain.
That's the song right there. The Mountain is straight up folk punk to its core.
Mm-hmm.
Right there.
To its core, but then like the punk, like anytime that she's singing, it does kind of also lend to that. Like Take Over the World is very punk-ish, and then what's the other one? There's Baba Louie, I think, or something like that. There's another one where she sings it. Every time I'm like, damn, this is like very Johnny Hobo and the Freight Trains, kind of like if they were really talented jazz musicians and not street urchins, like so that was something that I really fucking liked about this, because it was so interesting all together. You have this weird spacey Plantasia trumpet jazz, and then you get legitimate like folk punk Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros type shit. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, cool. So fuck yeah, great find, dude. Goddamn.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's so unique in the way she expresses herself through her trumpet playing, and even when she sings, like I don't know, it's all coming out. Whether it's her own personal demons that she's expressing, but she's doing it musically, and her voice is so, I don't know, it just stands out. And that trumpet playing is great. So it's too bad that she didn't get to do more. I know she has some other projects besides this that she did beforehand. I haven't dove into those yet, but the band that she played with too was unique as fuck. I mean, it wasn't just her; it was all of them together, and doing that music together in this album in particular. The first one, The Flyer Died, the first part of this compilation is really good. It's more avant-garde, but definitely approachable. I do like her ability to just be herself too. She was just like doing her thing, didn't care about much, and just got on stage and played her heart out. And you can feel that in every song that you hear on this album. So I think that's why it hits me so well. It's just very expressive. And even the album cover alone, I'll bring it up again. You got the peacock and I don't know what the what kind of that bird is, but very unique.
Mm-hmm. It looks like the bird's eyes are like on fire or something. Like, right? I love it.
Yeah.
This is, it's so interesting. But go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, the eyes are like coming out of its face. Like they're like pointed straight up into the sky. No, but great, man. Great stuff. I love finding small artists like this. Did you get that in person? Did you find it in person, the record finally?
I went down to Moon Rock yesterday, not even looking for this, and I like turned around and I saw like a section in their jazz, and it was sitting right there. I'm like, what?
Oh,
like, my! And then I saw Callie, and we were talking for a minute. She's like, "Oh yeah, I saw Jaimie Branch back in the mid 2000s before she was really famous." I'm like, I'm sure you did, because you've seen everybody and you know everything.
Yeah, I feel like she has a story for everything. Like,
yeah, it's wild.
So that was cool. It was cool to share that with her and let her know that we were fans about it. So
hell yeah.
But unique all in its sense. I got lucky enough to find it. So
hell yeah. Shout out, man. The weird shit you hear in record stores sometimes, I swear. It's awesome. Yeah, I'd be interested to see, like Jason Ajmian or whatever his name is, the guy who played double bass on the album, who's like who sings on the mountain with her. I'd be interested to see like what his solo, if he has solo work, what it sounds like. Just because I really liked his bass playing on this, and he had a decent voice. And I'm thinking maybe he had something to do with that song being as folk punky as it is, so he might be a fucking street urchin folk punker, which would be sick. But no, I'll have to check more of that out, and her other projects, because this was obviously my introduction to her. But shout out, man. Hell yeah. I love it.
Yeah. It was fun.
Shall we?
Yeah, let's dive in. I'll start her off, baby. Again, this album kind of reels you in with the organs and like draws you in with Burning Grays and songs like that. So for the top three, starting with honorable mention, be Baba Louie. It's got a good like 60s jazz vibe to it, and then 3-2-1 Burning Gray, Borealis Dancing, and then Take Over the World is my favorite track. It took me a while to make that decision, but I don't know. Overall, it's just very expressive and like just puts it out there as the last track on or one of the last tracks on the album. So.
Hell yeah. I am kind of in the same vein. Honorable mentions, I've got Burning Gray. The way that song kind of goes and moves is pretty impressive. Honorable mention number 2 was Balinko Bass. Just really liked that. It just had kind of mixed up the feels toward the end of the album, which was an interesting take, and I appreciated it. Number 3, The Mountain, obviously. Number 2, Baba Louie, loved that. And then number 1, Borealis Dancing, because I was like, the rest of the album could be dog shit, and I would love it just based off of this song. And
yep.
It wasn't. Like, the rest of the album was just as great, but Borealis Dancing, I mean, what a way to draw you in, I swear.
Yeah, if I'm going honorable mention, I'm starting with Baba Louie. Honorable mention, and then it's one song, but it really feels like two, just because they complement each other so well. Aurora Rising into Borealis Dancing. It literally, it feels like grand. Like it's just an introduction to it, and it's right in your face. Like it just puts it on the table. So number 3, Borealis Dancing. Number 2, Burning Gray, and then my favorite song was Balinko Bass. I must have listened to that like 15 times this week. So like way too many times.
Hell yeah. Shout out.
I'm glad you guys like this one. I know it's kind of a spur of the moment throw out there, but it's unique as fuck, and that's what we're about. So
yeah, we like a good I heard this week. Please listen to this.
Yeah.
I love that shit. Yeah. And it paid off, man. That's a hell of an album.
Yeah.
And that was Fly or Die, Fly or Die, Fly or Die. Fly or Die 3, basically, by Jaimie Branch, which was Matt's pick for this week, released in the year we're about to put a fucking pin in, called 2023. It's Whatchu Spinnin' episode 62. We're going to move right along and talk about my pick for this week and wrap this baby up. See you soon. Okay. What do you say, fellas? Time to take this baby on home?
I think so.
I think so. Let's go ahead and do it with my pick for this week. And what I brought to the table to wrap up 2023 was an album that I got super into, kind of in the midst of the hip hop bracket and the weeks leading up to it. 2021's Surrender by Rufus Du Sol. Some kind of deep house kind of stuff. Great album. Australian trio, which is kind of rare in this genre. I obviously, recency bias, kind of like Matt with Jaimie Branch. Love the fuck out of it still, though. What do y'all think about it?
For me, I'd heard a little bit of Rufus before. Rufus! Anyways, this guy's awesome. Like from the opening, his vocal is very calm. Next to me just set me at ease. And anytime I went back to the album the last couple of weeks, it's just very calming. I don't know. I could drive to it. I could listen to it before bed. Even with the instruments going, I could fall asleep to it. He's just very calming in his vocal approach, and the music's great. I'd heard the album before this. I forgot what it's called, and that's kind of what got me into him. I saw a performance of him at the Joshua Tree. Very cool. And it's approachable, accessible techno in a sense. I don't know. It's got the house vibe to it. It's got so many different musical vibes to it and genre vibes, and he kind of wraps it all into his own little thing. And I'll go back to it, but he's just his vocal brings you in, and it keeps you there the whole time. And anybody that can do that with their voice and their lyrics, I'm a fan instantly. So, good pick, man. Good pick.
Yeah, I feel like it was a matter of time that we would bring up Rufus Du Sol because I feel like it's such an established group in like house music. Like you have had to have heard of them if you're listening to house and to techno in that field. And yeah, they're still touring. I have friends that have gone to see them. They tell me how great they are live.
Yeah.
So
my girl saw them at Hayden Homes for this tour, and she's been to like 50 plus EDM shows, and she's like, that was like top 5 for sure.
mhm.
And she's like, yeah, they played that entire fucking album basically. And I was like, God damn it. I hate getting into shit late.
Yeah, exactly. Like everyone that I've heard about it, that they went to a show, like they rave about it, how great it was. And yeah, I feel like this album is one of those where you listen to it at the right time, and it could be life changing. Hearing it, like almost every song I have liked on the album, like every song carries itself super well. And yeah, his voice added on, like over the layer of the instrumentals, it's beautiful. Like he has such a nice voice, and it's soothing hearing it over like a house beat, like a techno beat. You're like, how would you expect to listen to this guy's voice over this beat? Like, but it matches really well. It matches really, really well. And they've been doing it long enough where, they have the credit for it. So
yeah, and it's just the execution on everything. It's just flows one to the next. It's such a cohesive project. Just well done throughout. It's got the super mellow stuff. Wildfire, one of the slowest songs on this, it almost made it into my top 3. Like the stuff that they do that's super soft and melodic is awesome, but then songs like Alive and On My Knees kick ass, just like, and just the level playing field across all of these tracks. It's like, man, that's wild that is how it is, because it's like super soft melodic songs versus fucking that's not a competition really, but it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think like anyone doubts his vocal ability and the group. Like that's what sets them apart, I feel like, because I mean, as we've talked about, like with house and dance, like it's hard to add lyrics to it, because when you think of like dance music and house music, you just think of like a beat or like a word here and there, but not like an actual full song with lyrics. And they have that, and it matches well. It matches the vibe. Like it's not super crazy like jungle music or hard EDM, but it's accessible to a lot of people and easy to listen to, and that's what sets them apart, I feel like.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because they almost create, it's almost like soundscapes that they're creating,
Sure.
The way that their music kind of builds and swells, and then it's kind of like doing psychedelics to the shit will be bananas, dude. That's all I'm saying. Like, because just like
Cool.
when I'm listening to it, I don't know, I can kind of, it's the fact that they, Matt, you sent us the link to that Joshua Tree thing, that just makes the most sense. When I saw that, I was like, oh, of course they played there, because that's like what their music is to me, is just like watching drone footage of the Sahara Desert, or the Netherlands mountains, or it's just, I don't know, that's what their music reminds me of, is just like just flyby footage of landscapes, it's which is crazy. Like, so I love that shit. I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
to the mindset, the mindset of all of us. I mean, you bringing up this artist, and the fact that we've shared the love for this artist. It shows how much we think about the same type of music. I think that's pretty cool. So I'm glad you brought this album up. I'm gonna try to find it. Where did you first listen or hear about him?
I think it was when I first got into DJing and stuff like that. I had heard, because when they first started, it like got big, was right in time for me to get super into DJing. So I'd kind of heard some of their stuff, and then hadn't listened to any, like hadn't gone out of my way to listen to them. And then me, my girlfriend, and her brother, when he was in town, we went to the coast, and on the drive back, she was playing a house playlist, and she had played Rufus like around me before, but I never sought any of the music out itself. And we were driving, and Alive came on, and I could see what the song was, and I just right time, right place. It was like the week before. It was like the week after we went to Arm & Hammer. And so Alive came on, and I was like, I need to listen to this full album. I want to check it out. And the rest is history. I've listened to it like once a week since.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like Rufus Du Sol is like just a mecca in house music, and like just so established. They get recognition like really in music in general because of what they've done.
Oh yeah.
So, great stuff, man.
Hell yeah. I'm glad that y'all enjoyed it. Do we want to top 3 it up, baby?
Let's do it.
Hell yeah. I'll go ahead and start her off. Honorable mentions. I've got Next to Me, opening track. Just what a way to draw you in. Another honorable mention, See You Again. Loved that song as well. And then number 3, Alive. Number 2, Make It Happen. The children's choir on that song just fucking really takes it. It really just takes it to the next level, dude. Oh, fuck. And the number 1, On My Knees. Great song. But yeah, great stuff. I literally downloaded Alive like that night to DJ to like mix with, and when I did that on my birthday, used that song. Pretty fucking tight. I do say so. But yeah, Rufus Du Sol, man, check it out. All their other stuff kicks ass too.
I'll do my top 3. So honorable mention, I Don't Want to Leave. And then top 3, I'm going Make It Happen, See You Again, and then my favorite was Devotion. I like that Devotion song. Another cool thing, the remixes to this, if you haven't heard of them, I would go check out a couple because it's like the same music, but they have different DJs, like different artists doing remixes off of them. Pretty fucking sweet.
Anima, the guy I mentioned earlier, has one. Alive. Yeah, they're pretty good. I like that. I like those remixes.
Nice. For me, my honorable mention was Wildfire. I like that track. Kind of had a different tone to it. And then 3, 2, 1, I Don't Want to Leave, Alive, and then Always was my favorite track. Good pick.
Fuck yeah. Great top 3s, y'all. Hell yeah. Well, that was 2021's Surrender by Rufus Du Sol, which was my pick for this fantastic episode 62 of Whatchu Spinnin to round out the year 2023. Let's go ahead and shift over and let y'all know what's coming next time on episode 63 of Whatchu Spinnin. We'll be right back. All right. It's time to officially wrap this bad boy up on Whatchu Spinnin, this fantastic episode 62 to wrap up the year 2023. We're going to go ahead and let you all know what's coming next time on episode 63. We'll go in the order that we talked today, which means my boy Jacob is up first. What you got for the folks at home?
Yeah, so I'm revisiting an artist that we've brought up before. Call back to episode 39. It is Melody Symphony Fragments. Came out in 2020. Melody Symphony, we brought them up before. I think I feel inspired with your house, with your techno pick, Dorian, so I'll throw another one back out into the void.
Okay. Damn. Okay.
Well, again, we're all being psychic and thinking on the same page. I'm going to revisit an artist as well. And I'm going to round this artist out. This will be my last pick by this artist, but this is my favorite pick from this artist. 1993, In on the Kill Taker by Fugazi. Yes. We're going to end it on that note with this great band, and this being my favorite album of theirs. 1993, In on the Kill Taker.
Yes. Well, gonna be honest with y'all, I'm gonna revisit an artist too.
This is hilarious.
God damn it. We can't do this.
We can. I'm gonna allow it. The revisit episode 63. The revisit.
Yes, it is.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and revisit the vault. I should have picked. That was a great idea, Jake. I don't know why I didn't think of it to pull what episode we talked about this artist, but a year ago we went and saw them in concert. I'm going with 1995's Glyph by Floater. My favorite album by them. Revisit some Floater, and yeah.
This might be my favorite episode. We haven't even done it.
Let's go.
This episode's gonna kick ass. Hell yeah. We've got Melody Symphony, Fragments, Fugazi, In on the Kill Taker, and Floater with Glyph. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
This is gonna rule. I'm glad that I stuck with my decision I made earlier, because I wrote it down and then almost changed, and I was like, nah, I'll stick with it. But yeah, the revisit episode, it's gonna be hilarious. What are y'all's thoughts about that? Well, how do y'all feel?
I love it, dude.
Feeling good.
I get so attached to these bands that, like, whenever we bring them up again, I'm like rooting for them. I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Love Fugazi. Love Floater. Let's do it.
Let's do it for sure. Anyways, this has been episode 62 of Whatchu Spinnin. We hope you have a safe and fun, happy new year. Thanks for kicking with us in 2023. We hope you stick with us in 2024. Lots of good stuff to come. Shout out to you for hanging out. Matt and Jacob, thank you once again for kicking with me for another year. It's going to be a blast next episode and all the rest to come. I'm Dorian. That's Matt. That's Jake. Tell the people at home goodbye.
Peace.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah. Peace out, brethren. We'll catch you later. Peace.
Bro.